Hi, this is Ellen Stewart with ES Property Management here in Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm here to talk to you today about the value of a good lease. It's really important to have a good lease, and also to do periodic inspections of your properties, either through your property management company, or if you're self-managing, you're doing a couple inspections or drive-bys and getting to know what's happening on your property. So here's a story for you. We just acquired a property with an existing tenant from another property management company. We acquired them, we got the lease agreement from that other property management company with no keys, anything like that, but the owner had contacted us and said, hey, I don't know what's happening here. I haven't heard from them. I haven't gotten any rent in 2 months. And apparently the tenants had just moved in maybe 4 months earlier. So we go check out the property. Well, we find that they have a pit bull puppy and they're smoking like crazy in the house. There's ashtrays overflowing in the kitchen, in the bedroom. So you walk in and you're like, where, like the smoke is clearing. So our leases are, are very specific about smoking anywhere on the premise, not necessarily just in the house, but anywhere on the premise, the front yard, the backyard, the garage, things like that, because smoke can go in. And then also talking about animals and whether pets are allowed or things like that are very specific in our leases. So we go in and they're like, do you have permission to have this? Well, I don't know if we do. Did you tell anyone? No. I think it's okay. So we go back to the office and read the lease that we had acquired. And it's like, oh my gosh, well, it's not really specific, but they're not supposed to smoke, at least inside, and they were supposed to get permission about a dog. So we let them know you need to have the dog move on, especially as a pit bull, that won't work. So we've got some issues there. Also, we had to get them caught up on paying the rent. So there's a couple things there, making sure that the lease was really well written and very clear to both the tenant and if ever comes before a judge. Here in Indiana, most of the leases, when a judge reads it, he's going to read it in favor of the tenant. So you want to make sure that your lease is written in favor of the landlord or the owner, to protect the owner, knowing full well that any judge is going to look at it and look in favor of the tenant. So we just write them that way to help balance that out so that the owner is protected. So those two things are now, but now we got her caught up on paying the rent. We're getting some money to the owner. Next month comes around. You're not going to believe this story. Next comes around, no money. We didn't get any money on the first, no money on the third. We contacted, no response, no emails, no text. We get the late, there's now a late notice. Now still no response. We go and deliver a 10-day notice, knock on the door, put it, nobody answers. We knock, and leave it at the door. Of course, we're not going to go in because there still may be a pit bull. And so we don't want to go in on that. Still no response. We go by, the notice has been taken, now we're going into the eviction process. Still no response. It's like, well, this is really crazy. What happened? Well, then we go by the next time and the property has been abandoned. We find out we look around and it's like, oh, this doesn't look the same. There's trash around. So obviously the back door, sliding glass door was open. We go in, look around, it's been abandoned, but then there's some weird things in there that that weren't there before, like an air bed and some trash and some other things. It's like, well, this is really odd. The neighbor comes by and says, here's the keys. They left. The kids tried, they didn't know how to reach you. Mom had been put in jail and her phone taken, which is how we get a hold of her, and through emailing and texting, they don't have a computer. So there was no way to communicate, and the neighbors didn't know us. So another good thing about that is to make sure that in your properties, whether you manage them yourself or your property manager does, that the neighbors know how to reach you in case something happens. So in case something happens to the family that's living there, someone can let you know that something has occurred. There's an emergency of some sort. So now, so we're very good about, unfortunately, that we had just acquired that property. So the neighbors didn't know us yet. So now our cards are distributed. We know all of the neighbors. We do this now with all of our move-in inspections, is to leave our cards, tape them to the refrigerator so people know. But that was just an odd story on that one. So I thought it gives you a good idea of why you need to have a good lease, why you need to have periodic inspections, either you yourself, if you're self-managing, or if you're using a property management company, make sure that they're doing those things. All right, I hope you've enjoyed this story. Have a great day. Thanks.